Okay. I want to say hello, JP. How are you?
Hey, I am fantastic. How you doing?
I'm so excited that your crazy schedule, and I can say with you, it's crazy um, because I know no one. Well, let me say few who has a roster of folk and a roster of projects um,
Yeah,
that is so extensive and so in depth and all moving at the same time. So I am grateful for this moment.
I appreciate you having me. I am grateful. I am
Yes.
grateful.
So I want to welcome each and every one of you in your respected places. Welcome to another segment of Conversations in the Nick of Time. I am your host, Nikki Roach. Want to send a big shout out to KSTL 690 AM and Sparkman Pathway to Careers, our bodies and our platforms that support and hold this platform up. We want to say thank you. And then also thanks to each of you for giving us your heart, your ear, your time. You could be doing anything else, but trust me, today you're going to learn some stuff, whether it's management of your time, which is raising my hand that I'm in need of to get some things done, but also just to be encouraged to know that what you're doing is not for naught. You have to, it's consistency, I'm learning, and no better person to join us today than Jackie JP Phillips. Some of you may know her as JPCEO on all platforms. I want to share a little bit about her. Jackie JP Phillips is a serial entrepreneur. And if I had to give her a name for myself, it would be the Quiet Storm because she is making noise and you have no idea she's standing behind it. Also, JP is the owner of Unheard Media LLC, Unheard Recruiters LLC, Unheard Radio, the Podcast Push, and the Testimony Tuesday umbrella that includes a radio show, podcast, international live streaming, and television show where she is the director, producer, and co host. Told you. JP is certified international digital marketing professional, Microsoft and Intel partner, and the list goes on and on. She's coaching at all levels through workshops and seminars, and those are some of the top ways that JP builds confidence, streams of revenue, strategic mindset, and much more for other leaders and other entrepreneurs. She has over a decade of experience in strategic planning, project management, revenue growth strategies, marketing promotions, branding, leadership, and digital marketing. And through accountability and creative programming, JP has created, implemented, and maintained campaigns that have pushed businesses and organizations into international growth. I have witnessed it, and it is just amazing the capacity in which she operates from. Her motto is hashtag max out every day, hashtag go crazy about your business, and to make sure you have a plan that promotes hashtag diversity delivery in layers. And my goodness, again, I can go on and on and on. What is it that rises to the top? When I read off all this stuff and you may find yourself in a reflective, just a short moment, what causes your heart to beat the most out of all this stuff that you're involved in?
I think what sticks out is that so many people trust me with their brands. That um, I was joking last night. I had a really long production day yesterday, and at the end of it, I was reflecting, and I said, the biggest blessing in all of this is that I am trusted um, to say, hey, here's my baby, here's my idea, here is how I provide for my family. Help me. The blessing in that is that's the that's my fuel. That's my fuel,
So
and
what?
it's a blessing. It's a complete and utter blessing. And they make fun of me because I told them, I think about it sometimes, and I drop a few thug tears, and I tell them, I don't just do a regular cry because you know, so I drop a few thug tears because I don't think we always take the time to really reflect on that, right? So I have, like you said, so many projects and brands that are saying, okay, I trust you to lead me, and I just don't take it for granted.
And how is it that you have, as an individual, developed that? Like, what's your strategy? Because this is two pronged when you say trust, because you also have to trust the individual is going
Yes.
to be committed to produce. But how is it that
Uh,
you first, as the go to? Um, yes, I know you have receipts, but what would you say is your secret sauce behind that?
my heart.
Okay.
Anyone who knows me, anyone who's collaborated with me knows that I do it from the heart. And I really love it. And you know, I won't pretend that I don't have days, or moments with people, but I genuinely just love what I do. And I love the people that I'm connected to. It's just genuine, and it is motivation um, to just keep going. Every time I see a light bulb go off, every time I see someone kind of break out of their shell a little bit,
Uh-huh.
it's the most rewarding thing. And it's funny because you have named me the Quiet Storm, which makes name number 14. I get so many different nicknames. So now I have to. There's literally a running joke on social media about how many names,
Oh
all
my
the different names that people give me, but I really love it. Like I have long days.
God.
Sometimes my mornings start at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning
Oh my
because
God.
of time zone differences with folks internationally. I mentor. I have a group of coaches that I'm mentoring that's based in Johannesburg, Africa. That so there's a huge time difference and things like that. I have a group of corporate leaders in India that I'm coaching. So my days are, they could start pretty early, but I promise you, for the most part, I just love it, and I just go because, for one, I realized a long time ago that uh, I'm really just a vessel. That's it. My job is to get up and move my feet where
Yeah,
I'm told to go. So,
I love it.
I and it'll be, can you believe, in August, 16 years. I'm
So
still amazed.
yeah, and so we met by way of Vanita
Yes,
Applebaum.
I
And
miss Benita. I
I know
miss
I just
Benita.
recently talked to her. She doesn't know we're connecting in this capacity, but when I tell her, she's gonna be so excited.
She
Um,
is.
so I met you through her, and even at that time, it was so interesting how you would like float in very few words, but people knew like, okay, she's responsible for something. Like you just knew. And then you would float out. I'm talking from small scale, what some people may define as small scale
Yes.
events, to big scale with major promoters. I've been a part of that, whether I was hosting
Yes.
an event or just kind of giving a opening remarks or something. You've been
Yes.
so instrumental in entertainment and programming here in this
Yes.
region of the STL. How would you say has been the keeping power? Because we're not even getting to COVID yet, but your keeping power, because you just mentioned 16 years. And again, it's through all of these different platforms that you're floating in and out of. What's the staying power?
Um, I think I enjoy it, and I realize that when you're given a gift from God in any capacity, your job is to be disciplined
That's
and
a
to
word.
carry through, right? And my job is to be disciplined. So whether I feel like it or not, whether I'm having a bad day or not, that has nothing to do with this mission. And I think that, again, I'm human, so I have those days where I'm just like, you know what, I'm not adulting today. I'm just, I'm not.
That's good you
But
bring that up,
for
because what does discipline mean and look like for you as a leader, again, across all these platforms? What is discipline for
uh,
you?
so, so discipline, believe it or not, is starting my day with giving thanks.
Okay.
I have to start my day. I immediately pray the moment I open my eyes,
Okay.
and then I ask a simple question: what is your mission for me today?
Okay.
And then I spend some time just literally being quiet so I can hear.
Okay.
Right. So I do not start my day with clutter. The first hour, at least, of my day is really, really quiet, which is why sometimes I wake up even earlier because if I have things to do internationally, I know my day, I need to be in full JP mode by 4:30 a.m. So I have to wake up at 2:45, 3 o'clock, and give myself time to warm up. Um, and so that's a big thing. Taking care of my mental health is a huge deal, right? I can't lead from a place that's cloudy.
Yeah.
And then my physical health, right? Like everybody else, we all have our vices. Anybody that knows me knows I love me some chocolate chip cookies, but I make, I make sure that I'm working out at least 4 times a week. And
Okay.
again, that's a sacrifice. Sometimes that's just being honest. Sometimes that's a Zoom call that I don't have to have the camera on, and I'm shadowboxing.
Really?
Yes,
See,
ma'am.
this is the stuff I'm trying to get to. Like, what's the behind the scenes for JP? Okay, so maximizing time is
Oh, yes, big time, big time. I'm guilty of it. If it's like a call or something that I'm just observing, because I do a lot of training. So a lot of the times I'm just really just trying to make sure that they stay in alignment with the goals we set for them. Oh,
okay.
yeah, my chair is pulled up to my desk and I have egg weights and I'm shadow boxing or I'm doing squats or I'm doing push ups and I'm resetting. And something else that I do is when I am leading people, I make mental and physical health part of the program. So, like my folks with India, we take meditation breaks. Yes, ma'am. So for
It's
5 minutes,
built into your
it's built
program.
in. It's built in just as much as the activity is. Those things are built in, right? We take meditation breaks. We have dance offs, right? We introduce music to one another, right, during those times. So, because we're in two different cultures, sometimes it's 5 or 6 different cultures on these calls. So we introduce music to one another. We introduce fashion trends to one another. We introduce all kinds of things like podcasts. Of course, podcasts are a big thing. So people are just like, hey, you know, have you heard of this podcast? So I build in those breaks and those moments where you can reflect on everything that you're doing and realize that, to even be in a place to be coached or to be the coach,
Yeah.
that you're blessed, right? And sometimes you need that brain break is what I call it, right? So you need to sometimes not have to speak, not have to do anything. And it's built right into the program. It's
Yeah.
built right in there.
I love
So
that strategy. Like, you don't hear, I've not heard a whole lot in the spaces I am in regards to building it in. Um,
mhm.
for the most part, it's like, oh, we'll give you time to do it, but no, to make sure that it's done, because as you know, give us a little, give us 10 minutes. That 10 minutes is full. A matter of fact, it's 12. We're trying to, squeeze into 5 and we'll fill it up.
Absolutely.
But now you're
Absolutely.
kind of helping to protect and cover the well-being. So you're
Yes.
not only coaching leaders, but you're coaching the whole being of the leader.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm big on, you can't give what you don't have. And so this
Yeah.
is exactly
Yeah.
what you're saying. You can't
Yeah.
work from a place of empty
That's
if
right.
you have not filled up. You're trying to fill
Yeah.
somebody else up if you're not filled, I should say.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell people I lead and coach from the inside out.
Love it.
It
Love
has
it.
to be from the inside out. And I want to take a moment to give Vanita her flowers. I don't know if she realized if she realizes how much she's impacted who I am as a coach. Uh, Vanita would answer the 5,000 questions I had in 2.2 seconds. never, never was frustrated, never was, um, she would often tell me like, I love how inquisitive you are. I love that you want to know the why. I love that you're just not here for the flash or here for and you mentioned it, like, I would be completely behind the scenes on some of the biggest productions and you would never see me, right? I would go and sit in the audience like I didn't know anything was going on.
If you weren't behind the curtain, you wouldn't even know your hand was involved. But looking back now, your footprint, your digital print, your handprint, your mind print, is
Yes.
extensive. Extensive. What would you say that being where you are now and having such the breadth and depth of your work, what would you have done different?
Oh, wow. So you know what? I probably would have started coaching sooner.
Okay.
I probably would have started coaching sooner. But I was in such a place of I was a sponge during that time, man. I was soaking it up from, Benita, who is, in my opinion, one of the best curators in the country,
And just
flat out.
connected.
Right, just
Can connect and nurture
period.
some relationships.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I was just soaking up Coco Rochelle, Coco Soul. I
Yes.
was just soaking up game from her, and still
Her
do to this day,
consistency.
both of them.
Her consistency is
And
just
you know what? The crazy thing is you know, people don't get that, right? They don't get that because she's not the flashy one, but
right.
she is consistent,
Oh my God. Yeah.
and I love that. I love that. Angela Brown. I would,
Oh my.
during that time, the Cafe Soul, the Sweet Soul
Yeah.
Spots, all of those businesses and
And
business minds
females,
that were floating around, I was sitting there like, yes, bring it.
Yeah, the
I was
same.
soaking it all up.
Yeah.
And in the moment, because I was managing artists, I actually didn't realize, like, wait, you're kind of a coach. I didn't realize it at the time. So I think if I would have really paid attention to what I was doing, I may have started like truly digging into coaching a little sooner. That was probably the only thing I would change.
Okay. Because, and then when you talk about coaching, you're talking about taking leaders of businesses, services,
Yes,
brands, and helping them evolve in every facet of business.
yes.
What's interesting is, when you look at your roster, I'm saying your roster, and then you have another word, which is, I forgot where you bring them, it's UAO, or what is it?
Oh, the Army of Entrepreneurs.
There it is. AO, yes, AOE. The Army of Entrepreneurs. When you look at that the faces, and I know a number of them, you oh my God, you're across industries, across the map.
Yeah.
It is just amazing. How is it that you as a leader keep yourself relevant to be able to pour into such diversity?
So I think because at the end of the day, I'm one of those. I'm a natural student.
Okay.
So when a business makes a pivot or I see something, I'm just like, you know what? I wonder if that'll work to cross over into this industry. So I call my office the lab because it's almost like I'm a scientist, right? I spend a lot of time in the lab. I do tons of research, like literally 20 hours of my week is dedicated, scheduled for research.
Okay, wait. See, here's another jewel. So you embed. I'm big on time blocking also, because if you don't block it, it won't get done. So it's been working for me. But you have allocated 20 hours in a week just for research and
Yes, ma'am.
inquiry.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Note taken. You coaching already.
Right. So I do about 20 hours of research across several industries. Sometimes it's things that people have asked, like, hey, what do you know about this? Or I'm interested in this, or I read this book. So 20 hours a week. definitely dedicated to research. I make sure that I get in 5 to 6 hours of workout every week. That's scheduled into my schedule. Of course, production is scheduled in. So, it's really, and that's the discipline, right? To
Okay.
actually, because you're a resource, you're God's resource. I don't care what you do. I don't care if you have 100 clients or one client.
Yeah.
You're God's resource. So to show your level of discipline, that's my way. My calendar is my way of being disciplined and making sure that I am fulfilling my day, that I max out and I go crazy every single day. Calendar. I have to. It's like you said, if you don't, even with the best intentions, if you don't block out time, you fill it with something else. Something can happen, right? But if you know, hey, I need to take these 3 hours and look at, research some shows for formatting. You need to look at the shipping rates and how that's changing internationally. You have to be disciplined with that. And your calendar is where you start.
And it's interesting you bring this up because a lot of times we can get very distracted by the movement of others around us, especially if it's something that we can identify with or something we're striving towards. And we just get caught up in the doing. But I'm so glad you've raised this important part of the strategy of any business, or whether you're an entrepreneur or just an employee, it still resonates because you have to make time to know the industry. You have to make time. Because I asked about you remaining relevant, it's staying in front of and on top of what the trends are, what's happening. I hear you, not just in our immediate circle or our region, but across the globe.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And
Wow.
so to do that, you have to dedicate time to it. Like you have to dedicate time to, for self-care. All of those things literally are scheduled into my life,
Wow.
right? Because again, my duty is to make sure that I take care of me so I can carry out my assignments. So my calendar is everything.
Yeah. Now we are in, yes, coming, we've been a year in with COVID, and it has caused us to pivot in a number of different ways. And staying in the this lane of discipline and planning and being intentional about our development and relevance, even as the source of whatever we're producing. Um, have you found it to be a challenge to now, like we're doing everything from maybe home, like even for me now, like everything has changed, and it's taken me a little time to kind of get back into the swing of my
Okay.
pattern. How have you worked through that?
To be honest with you, the the pandemic actually, it was actually a blessing for me.
Okay.
Um, so I'm actually more productive now than I was before because a lot of meetings that probably could have been, a 30-minute deal
Okay.
turned into a 2.5 hour deal because we were in person, and don't let food be involved, right? You can go ahead and add an hour for that.
Yes.
So it's been a blessing. I
Okay.
honestly, and I did a lot of stuff digitally anyway
Okay.
because of the international reach. So doing workshops via Zoom was not out of the norm for me,
Okay.
right? At all. So it was more of the challenge was getting the people who I coach and mentor to calm down, right? And
Okay.
teaching them like this isn't the end, right? It's a pivot,
Yeah.
and doing some really creative things uh, to deal with the pivot. So I'm like, you know, at the end of the day, um, the normal has changed.
Forever
So
change.
our minds, yeah. So our mindsets have to change. So just getting, really taking a step back, I really pushed back a lot of activities just so I could really just connect with people and really see where their heart and mind was, and connecting people to, you know, teaching them things to help cope, making sure that they were okay and their families were okay. Like, we can get to that other stuff, but I need you okay, because I need to be okay, right? So probably the first 4 or 5 months, in a sense of moving projects along, I didn't even worry about it. I would still log on. I would still keep our regular schedule, but we were talking about, keeping our family safe, keeping our mindsets, straight, sharing books, sharing verses, sharing moments, and figuring out what was best. And then, about 90 days to 120 days in, you could see people start to relax and breathe. And then we picked back up on, okay, so here are our tasks for the week or the month. So we spent a lot of time, like, I was doing, we were doing really, really fun things. We were having, like, again, dance contests.
I love this.
We were doing, cook and raise, where, somebody suggests a recipe and we were cooking it up. Of course, it was really, really interesting with everyone being home with their children, and finding meals and things that stretched. And, I'm tired of cooking the same things. What are you guys cooking? Or what are you doing for snacks? Or what are you doing for activities since our kids can't go outside? What are those types of deals? So we just spent a lot of time just being okay and recentering before, we started jumping back into projects.
Yeah. I love this strategy of leadership, to where it is, for you, it's about the person. It's about the
Yes.
mind, body, and soul of the person, because again, we can't produce what we don't, if we're not whole. And
Yeah.
I think that speaks to the sustainability of your success in the projects that you have, considering the person, not just looking at them and the value they can bring to you. Because you're leading and leveraging in this very collaborative way
Yes.
that is, I think it's the way of the future. And speaking of the way of the future, you talked about being in the lab and saying, let me just try this. Let me try that. Let me try that.
Yeah.
How that's very risky. And and what I have learned, myself included, we say we're risk takers, but it's still very comfortable in the
Mm-hmm.
risks that we take. Like, it is like, okay, let me just move just like a fourth, you know, and I've taken a risk, and that is a risk. I'm not
Yeah.
downplaying that. We all have our own
Yeah.
levels in which we can withstand that. But you're not only taking a risk for you. Again, I said you're leading and leveraging in a collaborative way for collaborative success.
Yeah.
If you take a risk, it's not just you and your brand and the business, but it's also for all that all your umbrella of businesses, but also those who you're working with. How are you maintaining your sanity? Like, how is it that you're like, okay, let's take this risk?
You know what? I'm okay with failure.
Okay. Okay. Here we go. Okay.
Right. There have been several things that I thought of and tested it out, and it's just like, ooh, that didn't quite work out. But what I've also learned is, even in those failures, there was always a message and a pivot in it.
Okay.
Right? Because maybe my plan didn't include making two rights. Maybe it was two lefts. And so then guys say, well, go ahead and loop back around and see what happens.
Okay.
So in every single thing, there has been a blessing. And whether that blessing was connecting with a tribe of people who were just as crazy as I am, just like, yeah, I'm going with you. Or it was, well, you thought you needed to go left, but really what you needed was right. So now that you know that, you go right and you carry on. But I'm not afraid to not be perfect. I'm not
I love
afraid
that.
to say, you know what, I thought the outcome was going to be 5 and it was 3. Okay, so now I have to figure out how to get it to 5. I'm okay with that. Like I'm not ashamed.
Okay.
I'm not ashamed. I teach on purpose, especially in the world of media. You know, please stop trying to be perfect and just live in your purpose. Please stop it. That perfection is it is the bottleneck that keeps me up at night sometimes. Like, don't be perfect. Just push. Just push.
Oh my God.
Everything does not have to be perfect. God never asked us to be. If you really think about it, that perfect stuff we put on ourselves. He never asked us to be. Never. Never asked us to be perfect.
And so we dropped
Just
the mic.
just be a vessel. Yep. Just be full of purpose and push and just go. And yep, you're gonna hit some roadblocks and you're gonna be tired and you're gonna question, because I know the thing for me is sometimes things get downloaded into me and I'm just like, yep, God, you got the wheel and the front seat on this one, because how am I supposed to do this?
Yeah.
Right? Like, how is this gonna happen? You just have to be comfortable with you, right? I think that's very important. And that's why I say I coach from the inside out. Like, it takes all kinds, right? And being different doesn't make you better or worse. And just do you, be you. Most people know, like, I'm pretty much the same across the board. It is what it is. And if it wakes up something in you or ruffles something in you, that's on you.
Mhm.
I'm not taking on that, right? I'm okay with my everything, right? From my 4 eyes to the grays on the top of my head. I'm good. You know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
You can get this work, or you can sit there and block yourself. I'm not responsible. What I'm responsible for is what I perceive as my gift, and that is to be collaborative and to lead.
Yeah.
Everything else, that's not my job.
I love
That's not
that.
my
And
job.
that's going back to, there's a theme that is running through this whole conversation, is the discipline, and that
Yes.
discipline of self, to even be able to produce and have outcomes and these successes. That discipline, whether it's mindset, whether it is ability, whether it is showing up, um,
Yeah.
which is that's powerful. That is powerful, because we do, again, we get so caught up in the doing
Yes.
and the goal setting and the achieving, and we come up with these unrealistic expectations of self, and these unrealistic, almost life-threatening deadlines.
Yes. Yes.
And so
Yes.
that's
Yes. Yes.
just creating stress, and really it prevents us from being our best self.
Yes.
And just because somebody else is doing it, this is the other thing I had to learn. Just because somebody else is doing it doesn't mean to stop doing what God has called me to do.
Oh yeah. We could. That's a whole show. That's a whole show by itself. Right?
I've learned that.
It,
It took me a minute, but I'm now
yes.
walking in that, to where
Yeah.
there's an audience we've been assigned to, in our group that's we've been assigned to, and that's good.
Yes. 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 I do a lot of podcasting workshops, and you hear it a lot. Like, I know everybody's doing podcasts. I'm like, yeah, but they're not doing yours,
Yeah.
right? They're not doing yours. And I purposely, um, you know, my podcasts are they're out there, and they are, they are what they are. You catch the moments, you catch all of that, and I do it on purpose,
Yeah.
right? Because if you are so focused on, for one, what everyone else is doing, that's an issue, right? And then if you are not sharing something that God has downloaded into you to do, that's a different problem,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, I, you hear it all the time. Like people will say, "Oh, not everybody's podcasting."
Yeah.
Okay, and but what does that have to do with your voice and your audience? Like there are over 7 billion people in the world. I don't know about anyone else that has a show, but I haven't seen or heard or any heard from 7 billion people, right? So we're all sharing. It's really really simple. Some people will connect with you based on your story. Some people will connect with you literally by the tone of your voice. There's something like, I use Tabitha Brown as an example all the time. There is something about this woman's voice. Like I have no desire to learn to cook vegan meals, right? It's not my thing. I will listen to her talk though. There's something about her voice. Her voice is so soothing, right? So it just makes it all better, right? It don't matter what's going on, just her voice, right? You're just like, you know what? It's okay. You're right. I can be shadowboxing listening to her. Like that has nothing to do with, you know what I mean, with what she does, but it's the sound of her voice. It is soothing to me. And, her personality. So some people, like most people, are attracted to her for that reason, right? Because she always gives you those little nuggets, even in between the cooking and the tasting of the food. She had these messages of love for you. So I just think, if people you gotta do, and Keisha Kent says it all the time, you have to do the inside work first.
Yeah, love her.
You see it all the time. The people who look like they have it all, and they are depressed, and they are angry, and they are bitter. Because don't get me wrong, I want that bank account of mine to look like a phone number too. However, I want to do it in a way that I'm okay with it too, right? And I'm taking other folks with me, right?
You can have all that, as you say, you can have it all and not be happy. We've been seeing too much of that.
Yeah. They have everything you can think of, but that inside is rotten because it hasn't been cared for. So I'm gonna get all of that, but my inside, I'm gonna be okay, and the folks around me are gonna be okay, right? Because we're literally coming from the inside out, and I think that's how you win. It has to come from the inside out.
And just to pivot just a little bit and flip it to the out, and we speak of entrepreneurship, what are the top 3 things that pop in your mind? And this is no particular order, and it doesn't mean it's the most important things, but 3 things that entrepreneurs need to tighten up on, like because we use this word entrepreneurial or an entrepreneurship so loosely, but many of us have gigs or side hustles. It's not really entrepreneurship. But speaking to entrepreneurs, what are like 3 things that come to mind that we need to do better at, or get your stuff together, like that you're finding as you're coaching and working with entrepreneurs?
The first thing is center yourself, whatever that means for you.
Okay.
Right. You have to be centered, because whether you're a coach or you're providing a service, you won't do it well if you're not centered. That's number 1. Number 2 would be kind.
Mm-hmm.
Just as simple as it sounds. You are, you're not gonna win being nasty to folks or to yourself, right? So when I say be kind, I'm meaning start with you.
Yeah.
Be kind to yourself, right? Be kind to yourself. And number 3, the biggest thing is patience.
Yeah. Now, when it comes,
everyone wants everything right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, take three more. I want 3 more things, but these 3 things are business related. What do we need to get together? What do we need to make sure we have that we spend some time on when it comes to business?
Research. research,
Okay.
research, research, research.
Okay.
And something that I do is I make sure that I spend about 20% of my earnings, my profit on professional development.
Ah,
hmm So getting certified in something, taking a seminar, whatever that looks like for you,
okay.
um, you know, do that. And that really helps you stay, like you said, you stay relevant in your world and outside of your world through education, educating yourself. And then the the other biggest thing that I could say for an entrepreneur is um, that calendar, time management. You got to get it together. You got to get it together. I see and hear a lot of folks say, "Well, y'all know I don't. I'm never on time." That's a problem. That's
Oh,
a problem,
and
right?
why do you
Y'all
say it's
know
a
it.
problem?
Yeah, I procrastinate. That's a problem because that's something on the inside,
Okay.
right? That's something internal. So that's showing up outwardly. So we need to work on that. And to be honest with you, and this is my opinion, um, is that when you have your time management under control, all of those other stressors go away
Okay.
for the most part, right? So think about this. If you have a project that you know that has a deadline on the 10th and you don't start paying attention to it, so you knew about it a month prior, but you waited, until the first to start dealing with it, right? Now you've created other stressors because, maybe there's something that happens within the project that isn't the best situation. So now you're in the crunch. Now you're now down to 9 days instead of 29 days to fix that issue, right? Level one anxiety, right?
Yeah.
So now there's something else that happens. Now you're at level two, right? And now by level two, you're being irritable and being snappy at other people. So now you've created all of these other things because you decided not to be disciplined with your time. And being disciplined with your time, like I do 20 hours now. It was not always 20 hours, right? I started out doing 30 minutes a day.
Okay.
But as the business grew and as I grew, it needs to be about 20 hours a week now. So being disciplined doesn't mean that you take off the biggest slice of cake possible. Start out slow. Start out 30 minutes a day. Start out an hour a week, but really sit down and do the research, right? And make sure that you're focused during that time.
Okay.
And literally put it on your calendar. So those are my three tips on
Okay. I love this. I love
success.
this. So research 20% of earnings towards professional development and calendar, making sure you coordinate that calendar to manage your time. And
Right.
that those are yeah, I mean, this is the core. I'm telling you, we're so busy doing on the business that these things I agree with you. They will set the tone and actually help us
Mm,
arrive at our, what we're aiming to even do. I know one thing is a lot of times we don't start with the end in mind in regards to like what's the why are we even doing this,
yeah.
but this
Yeah.
helps even to narrow that because we as entrepreneurs can have such passion, and that passion overrules
Yeah.
all the other uh these core nuggets that we need to have in place,
Yeah.
and we just kind of like, oh, we're gonna get to it, and we don't make it priority. So you have totally
Yes.
helped us shift that for ourselves today, so thanks for that.
No problem.
Yeah, yeah. Now, what is it that what's next? What's next for JP and Unheard Media?
So I am currently working on a Roku channel. So I'm in heavy production for this Roku channel.
That
And
is
so I'm working with some
amazing.
phenomenal folks. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So working on the Roku channel and Unheard Radio. So
Okay.
getting all of the proper licensing, and because I have quite, I have a love for music, this, so
Yes.
I wanted to incorporate, music in there somehow. So working on Unheard Radio and the Roku channel, which I'm looking to launch in late summer.
Summer of 2021?
Yes, yes.
Okay. That's around the corner.
It literally is. But
Oh my,
we've been on a roll.
I
So we have been in production uh, for a few months now, and
okay.
we're producing. We have a system, right? So everything is, there's a template for everything, there's a system for everything, and we're just building it as we go and building. The one thing that I'm loving about it is the way that I see people start to build that confidence with creating these shows. So what makes these shows unique is that this first group is actually a pilot for Unheard Institute. So Unheard Institute is the creative platform that I'm building. So I'm basically building a program where creatives can not only produce their content, but all of that behind the scenes stuff, like you mentioned, the behind the curtain stuff. Does so it'll be workshops to teach them how to properly pitch their business, how to understand their analytics, how to you know
So the Unheard Institute is going to be a conglomerate, basically, kind of all that you're coaching, all that you're teaching. This provides those individuals, whether they're under your coaching sessions already, but it gives outsiders another chance to come in and actually be
yes,
educated on the business. Is what I'm
yes.
hearing you
And so
saying. Okay.
I have some amazing people that are going to be collaborating with me. Of course, that's another, quick secret is every part of my business is a collaborative effort.
It's
Every
not
single thing
possible,
I do,
right? It's not possible without it, right?
no. So I have a whole team of people. So Camille Dangerfield, Keisha
Yes.
Kent, Tiara Robinson, TC Graphics, RG5 Graphics. There are some amazing people that are coming on board. Gerard Harris,
Okay.
just really making it to where the goal of the program is by the end of the 6 months, you will have a full show, right? You'll have a full season. However, you will also have the tools to either say, hey, what does that look like to go on Unheard TV, the Roku channel? Or if you want to move in another direction, you will go fully equipped, analytics,
That is
pitches,
crazy. Like,
everything. Yeah.
this is crazy. I have so many questions, but one thing you drilled in on, because on this platform, I love being able to provide tips and resources and clarity around just being a leader, of excellence, but also understanding that accidents do help us. You mentioned that nothing happens in your enterprise that is not done without collaboration. What what has been an accident when considering collaborative opportunities that you learned from? At least give me one. An
Also an
accident,
accident.
meaning, yeah, something
You
that
know
wasn't
what?
so great.
That, huh?
Something that wasn't so great, but you learned from it.
Oh, so I launched a podcasting platform.
Mhm.
Um, I call it the International Podcast Alliance, and I built a board around it, and it did not take off.
Okay.
It did not take off. It did not take off, and it didn't take off because um, I think a lot of it had to do with COVID, because it was right around that time, right?
Okay.
So, February, March, and a lot of the folks that were involved had to pivot in not only their professional lives, but in their private lives as well.
Okay.
And it was a bit much. It was a bit much. So, so I dissolved that. But as soon as I did that, the thought dropped on, how do you get better at teaching people how to pivot?
Oh.
Right? How do you get
So
better at teaching people how to pivot?
from that accident came a new idea.
The institute was born basically from that aspect, right? So, what else can I have done? What as a leader, what can you do to help people pivot from the inside out,
Yeah.
and make sure that they can still move forward? And it was, it was different. It was different, but it didn't fly. It definitely didn't go to plan. I had a whole 3-year plan for the organization and all. It definitely did not go to my plan. However, I used the lessons and kept it moving.
Okay. Wow. Thank you for sharing. Because a lot of times we do, again, we look at the successes, we look at the momentum and like, oh
Yeah,
my gosh, here's something else, here's something else. And while one person may say like, oh my gosh, she's got a lot of stuff going on, but at the same time, it's not a lot. It's all in alignment. And that's what I love
yes,
about the work that you do. Like it is
yes,
truly in alignment. And
it
it is,
is. It
a branch
really is.
off. I remember when I had moved to New York, and this was back in 2001, and I had the opportunity to meet with Johnny Walker. She was the VP over there at Def Jam Records, and she took a meeting with me and just to talk about just life. And I was just starting to tap into entrepreneurship. I was starting thinking I wanted to do something in media during that time, which it all unfolded. But she was like, "What's the one thing that you're going to make your foundation?" She was like, everything else will branch off of that, but you've got to have the one thing. And there's a book called The One Thing, I think by Simon Sinek, that is amazing, that gets you
Okay.
focused on the one thing. And then just like your formula, it's just you're meeting the needs of that foundation that you've identified and
Yeah.
incorporated the resources that individuals will need. So it may seem like a lot, but it really is like, here's a menu. You're here to eat.
It
Here's the
really is.
menu. And we can offer all these different things to get you where, full. If the goal is
Absolutely.
to come to the
Absolutely.
restaurant and get some good food, hey, we got you. And
Yeah.
you have created such a model that alone in the work that you've done, and what's coming. Again,
Yeah.
it's just the footprint has been expanded. Is probably what
Yes.
people need to be mindful of. It's not so much, oh, another project. No, not another
No.
project.
No.
We're extending our reach is what I see.
That's right. Exactly. And
Ah,
taking people with me. That's important to me.
yes.
Is to take people with me along the way. That as much as I am probably the most senior entrepreneur, the youngsters keep me on my toes. I have to shout her out. I'm working with a young lady. Her name is Chanel Minifield. She
Okay.
is a vegan foodie. She has a show that'll be launching on April 5th at 8 p.m. Eastern on Taste on TV. Taste on TV is a Black-owned Roku channel for cooks, foodies, chefs. Yeah.
Taste
And
on
when I
TV.
tell you,
Okay.
yeah, Taste on TV. And so Chanel is 26. I told you I'm not ashamed. I'm 45.
We
When
together.
I tell you, right, she is in LA, right? But when I tell you, the moment you get on the phone, the moment she clicks on the video, she gives you some of that youth, right? And she recharges me, right? And so Keisha is the energy, right?
All day.
I told her her signature three snaps. if that don't make you smile, I don't know what else
Right,
does. And
exactly.
then
Exactly.
right, and then you have Camille Dangerfield, who
Yes,
is probably one of the purest hearts I've encountered in a long time.
that's
Right,
awesome.
so she keeps me here, right?
Yeah.
And then I work with very closely the young lady who's been doing graphics for me um, for a very long time, Tiara Robinson. Tiara is my you better let them know reminder, right?
I love
Like,
it.
you better let them know who JP is before I do, right?
I love that
Because
circle.
again, you see what I mean? So I'm surrounded. I'm balanced. And it is the funniest thing because again, you said it very early on. Like, I'll move in and out and won't say much. It's
Yeah.
never been my style. I probably have interviewed more in the last year than I have in the whole 16 years. It's just
I, I
never been
love
my
it.
thing.
I love it.
It's never been my thing. So I think it's important to, you know, really do that inside work so you get what you need.
Yeah. And we as we wrap up, I usually ask individuals for something, some type of wisdom or insight in regards to how, a word of wisdom in the nick of time. And what I want to ask you, because you've given us so much throughout our time together, if you can pick one word that you would want to tell our listening audience near and far to hang on and cling to, what one word would that be?
Pray.
Pray. Okay. And that's self explanatory. Pray. We got it. JP, this has been absolutely amazing. A long time coming. I feel just so fortunate and so blessed, and I mean that from the heart, to have this
Thank you
moment
so much.
to hear from
Thank you.
you, and not just experience. Have you offer
Yes.
us experiences, but this has been an amazing opportunity
Thank
to
you
get to
so
know the
much.
person behind all this greatness. As always, this is a platform for you and your team and Unheard Media. However, we can be a resource. Do not hesitate to reach out to us. Those of you who are listening,
Absolutely.
want to go and learn more, possibly sign up for some of this great work to get you to the next level, make sure you visit unheardmedia.biz, B-I-Z, unheardmedia.biz. We will put more information on our different platforms. That way you can get connected with JP and the team, possibly become part of the army. Who knows? In the meantime, we want you to go and have the most amazing day and get your life, get it together. We've got some great instructions to take us forward. Don't forget, you already possess everything you need to be successful, and that's success as you define it. Just tap into it. So go, be good, be great, and don't forget to smile along the way.